The overall target is to increase the biodiversity. I think my main driver is environmental. Then you think, well, somebody generously 150, 200 years ago planted all these hedges that we see around us.
We are the Great Northumberland Forest, a project to plant millions of trees, creating more wooded landscapes across Northumberland by 2030. Trees offer a range of benefits for you, your land and your business. So whether you want to diversify your income, increase biodiversity, improve soil and water health, or reduce carbon in the atmosphere, trees can help play a big part. We're determined to leave a better, more diverse and more productive natural environment for future Northumbrians. In this episode we're joined by Dick Thompson. Dick has 60 acres in mid-Northumberland. His site includes significant heritage features and he talks about how he is planted with their protection in mind.
There's some old hedging, a lot of old trees in hedges. There's a 400-year-old oak and there's a very nice wood behind the houses that have got about 250-year-old beech stand, so they're getting fairly mature. The field size varies between about 4 acres and 50 acres, mostly with banked hedges between them, but very little hedge left. And just the odd single trees, which suffered during Arwen, so the environment looked a bit different after that. And the current project was stimulated by Arwen that knocked 8 trees down, I think. And you think, well, somebody generously 150, 200 years ago planted all these hedges that we see around us, and nobody's really done much since. So I'm keen to redress the balance, let's say. The overall target is to increase the biodiversity. I think my main driver is environmental rather than improving agriculture. But I don't want to, I'm 70, but I'm looking forward as well, and I don't want to do anything that will interfere with whoever has the custodianship of the land in the future. So I'm looking at increasing individual trees for shade and shelter, as well as wood for the environment and for the wildlife. So it's partly not spoiling it. My 50-year plan doesn't exist. 70 comes up very, very soon, and I don't have a sort of inheritance plan naturally for the land, so my son might take it over, but there you go.
Thinking about connectivity, what do you see as the benefits of planting more trees?
Just, I think, individual trees spaced out, well, not exactly lonely, but they're not part of the great web. So you've got the mycorrhizome problem or benefits, and you've got the transit, so birds can flit from one to the next. I think it may be overdone with mammalian wildlife, because we all put hedges in nice cages. So there probably isn't the connectivity that some people might think. As far as that goes.
Did you have any barriers or any stumbling blocks in trying to deliver that and plan that?
The main bit of the project that was turned down was the whole of the field. We put an application in to plant, which was going to be 3,000 trees, which was 1.5 hectares. We ended up with the half an acre of the wet bit. But it's rig and furrow, which the conservation officers needed to protect, and it's next to an ancient village, so we adapted the original plans, and quite satisfactorily, really. The main adaptation was that they allowed 22 individual trees on the aforementioned hectare of land on the top of the rigs, and they're protected by wooden cages, which was one of the hassles of the project, but and that would allow cow grazing in this field, ultimately benefiting from the shade. The wood that I mentioned has a hedge on the side of it, so the shelter and shade down there should be greatly improved, because it's a very exposed patch.
Just want to find out a bit more about the kind of logistics of the delivering part of the scheme, and sort of a bit on your experiences of tree stock and how you've kind of taken the plan and delivered it on the ground.
Yeah, the 1,500 trees in total came from two main stocks, mostly dry rooted, some cell grown. I think there's about 250 cell grown ones and the rest dry rooted. And I got them in two batches, and because I was the only project manager, I was doing all the buying, transporting, planting, and you don't know how much time you're going to have. So I got them in two lots, so there were 600 trees in each time. I was advised that it was all right to heel them into ground, so they all got planted in my raised vegetable patches in bunches of 50, and they've all grown very well. So I think that system worked quite well. There is a lot of logistics in that it's you have to get your ducks in a row, which I didn't quite manage. So it's a matter of knowing that you can get the fencing done before you can start planting. If you've still got stock grazing the field, I bought half the trees in the end of November and the other half in January. All the woodwork I bought in January. Well, did in November as well, yes. Half the fencing got done in November, and the other half I bought in January, but didn't actually get round to building them till May. So yes, the expense was very early and most of the income was very late, but I accepted that. That was part of the project, and one of the benefits was that the rate got increased halfway through. So
Line of the rate increase in January.
Yeah, that was very beneficial. It turned a project that would have been a loss into something that I not exactly made a little bit of money out of, but I ended up with £1,000 for my labours, I suppose. Yeah. But it is a lot of logistics and planning and picking the trees up from here, there and everywhere.
Can you tell me what you're doing now about kind of monitoring your project and what you look to do going forward?
Yeah, the project is basically in two pieces. One is next to the house, which means I see most of the trees twice a day, and I can monitor them very carefully. I was very anal about recording which trees went in which place, so I know which species should be in this place, and I know which ones have failed, and the number of failures is very small, less than 1%. So very pleased with that. But I do know that particularly there was a batch of cell-grown ones that have failed totally, batch of 6 sycamores. So, and I only know that by keeping recording. The other ones are half a mile away, but I get down at least once a week, and I individually inspect the 22. Unfortunately, again, 2 of those were part of the failed batch, and there's one other out of the 22 that's failed. The wood of 200 trees, I'll get through every month or so, and it's a great interest. So, and I know again which of the 200 is all the stakes are numbered, and my little diary tells me which one's which.
So a really good record of
Yeah, I think that's been a big help mentally to know which trees have been a success and which haven't, and I can monitor that in the future, and I will certainly continue to do so. Hopefully in 15 years I'll still be here to keep monitoring them.
Well, and looking ahead then, what do you hope to see at Corridge Farm over the next 15 years?
Yeah, well, these projects are developing very quickly. The hedge trees have come out of the top of the guards already. So in 15 years, I've got some that I planted 8 years ago that are 20 foot high down at the river. So I'm expecting there to be a very good cover from quite a lot of the trees. Obviously not the English oaks. I don't suppose I'll see the benefit of those. But I'm on the lookout for other projects. There's a great crested newt project that I've put in for. There's ponds to go in there. So yeah, next year finishes my grand scheme, but I'm on the lookout for anything else that will benefit.
And finally from me, do you have any other advice for adding trees to your land which others could take on board?
Think carefully where they go, the type of trees and the type of land. The aforementioned 22 took a lot of cage building. I hear cactus guards are an awful lot easier to to build, so perhaps that might be worth going for. The 32 I've got in individual small cages just with sheep grazing have needed some adaptation, so instead of just being a very sturdy post and a guard, I've had to put a little wire cage around them. So that's a possibility, and I may look to do more in the future. Yes.
Thank you for joining me, Dick, for the Great Northumberland Forest chat and hearing about your site near Middleton. If you'd like to hear about a particular aspect of tree planting, please get in touch with your podcast ideas. We work with sites at all scales across the breadth of the county. If you have land in Northumberland and trees will help you, please get in touch. You can reach us on our email at inquiries.forest@northumberland.gov.uk or call us on 01670 623 416.